Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, Merry Christmas to you, because this is my last actual filming review of 2025. It's the new, just arrived, Arma Hobbies 148 scale Hurricane Mk.1 from the Battle of Britain. Ooh, yes, been looking forward to this one. So, let's have a look. Hurricanes need no great introduction. Some of you will have seen that I've got the Italeri stroke Tamiya one, which I thought was a bit rubbish, to be quite honest. Didn't think that was a good kit at all. Lots of fit issues and stupid design choices, and a windscreen that did not fit the shape of the actual fuselage. It was terrible. Anyway, this one, kit number 40015, just arrived from Arma in Poland. Let's have a look at what we've got. It says on the side, plastic airplane model, 3 different versions, includes masks and decals. On the back, look at this, now we're talking. Now, I've not had an Arma kit now for about 2 or 3 years, two years I think at least. So we've actually got here, rather interestingly, Squadron Leader Robert Stanford took, now he was an interesting character, wasn't he, with DTA. Yes, let's just talk about him just for 1 second, because he's a much underplayed of the Battle of Britain heroes, really. He flew Spitfires and Hurricanes, and he flew beyond the Battle of Britain, survived the Battle of Britain, and I can't remember the number of kills he had, but I think it was about, I don't know, 9 or 10 at least, I think. You can look it up on Wikipedia, but he was a very interesting character because he ended up being shot down in 1942, actually, over near Bologna, and apparently he was using his, I think he was in a 20mm arm Spitfire Mark 5, I think. It may have been actually, was it a Mark 9 by then? Anyway, he had the Hispano cannons on, and apparently the story goes he was shot down by this flak battery that he was actually attacking, doing one of these rhubarb missions where they do ground attack sweep across France. And he actually shot this, they were shooting at him and he was shooting at them. And he actually managed to split open, his shot went right down the barrel of one of the 20mm anti-aircraft flak guns. And he was really worried. He got captured, he got shot down and captured by these Germans at this battery. And he'd killed a few of them. And he was frightened they were going to kill him, and he was going to be treated very badly indeed. And then when they were, I think they were going to lynch him, quite frankly, and then they realised that he'd actually shot, as I say, down the barrel, almost impossible shot, down the barrel of one of these anti-aircraft guns. And it split open like a banana, the actual barrel. And they were also, when they realised it was him, they were saying, good shooting, Tommy, very good shooting. And it all became a bit of a laugh, and despite the fact there's all these dead bodies lying around. It mentions it in Wikipedia, actually. But anyway, I know of him from many years ago when I was younger. He was featured in the Warlord Annual. And he actually got captured, was a prisoner of war then, of course. But he actually managed to escape in February 45 with a Polish colleague, and they managed to actually escape through to the Russian lines. And he was also at the Stalag Luft 3, was it? Stalag Luft 4, the one that had the Great Escape. He wasn't involved in the escape itself, but he was involved in the planning of it. He was quite a boy, he was a real comic book boy's own hero in every sense of the word. And people don't talk about him so much these days. They always talk about Barder or Sarah Malan or Johnny Johnson, people like that. Stanford Tuck was quite an impressive guy. Anyway, back to the kit. So we've got that as the first option with DTA. Then we've got the 2 Polish versions. We've got Sergeant Józef Franciszek in 303 Squadron, famous 303 Squadron Hurricanes, of course. And we've also got Division FAA, Fleet Air Arm, at Yeovilton in late 1942. So you've got 3 interesting versions really there. So let's have a look at what we've got. Now, the only thing I would say about this kit before I open it, and I haven't touched it yet, the only thing I don't like about these Arma kits is they've got this like a Revell style end opening box. I'm not very keen on it. But if I remember, they have got this like a tray style. So the Revell similarity ends there. We've got this tray, which I quite like. Just not sure they're very substantial. Anyway, here we are. Now I've been a bit worried about this kit because I did see some of the other versions, early versions of the Hurricane they did, and I got the impression and I saw one at Telford. It was beautifully made. It was not the fault of the model. But I just got the impression they're a bit heavy with their riveting, and the panel lining was a bit overdone. But let's just park that, completely take a fresh look at it, and see what we've got. So, always good to have an open mind. So we start off, we've got a lovely, a set of roundels, mask set I should say, including for the wheels and tyres area, so you can mask off your mask your tyres when you spray the wheels. And they are pre-cut masks, so that makes them a little bit better than the Tamiya ones. All the different options for the different canopies, very, very good. We've also got here some decals. Now, whose decals are they using? Are these Edward? I don't think they are. Techmod. Oh, there we go. I should have realised. Now, I've used Techmod. I would just say they can be a little bit on the thicker side, but they do go down very well. I found that they stuck quite well. I used them on my Spitfire. So, and they're Polish, of course, so that makes complete sense. I should have realised. But they're actually very beautiful, sort of finished. You know, they're always very crisp looking. You've got nice instrument decals there as well, over on the left. And yeah, we've got the Burma, the Burma flag, which is the one on Stanford Tuck's aircraft. I don't know why that was. Was he brought up in Burma? I've got a feeling he was actually raised in Burma. I've got a feeling. Some of you that are experts on the gentleman will know better. Anyway, we've got our decal seatbelts. I'm not sure if that works so well at 48 scale, but we'll see. But they do look very nice. Anyway, there we go. Arma hobby. So we get a little bit of a technical historical discussion here, which I think we'll enjoy. It's not too long. I recently did the Tamiya Tomcat, which was a brilliant kit. Of course, it's amazing. But that had so much history that you couldn't read it all. It'll be here all afternoon. This is a little bit briefer. It says, Hawk Hurricane Mark 1 was one of the key Royal Air Force fighters at the outset of World War II, and the first of the RAF's modern designs to feature a retractable undercarriage and enclosed cockpit. Although it was based largely on the traditional structure of welded steel tube frames that was covered with fabric, the aircraft successfully combined proven construction methods with contemporary aerodynamics. Early production variants were fitted with fabric-covered wings and a fixed-pitch two-blade wooden propeller. But these were soon replaced by metal wings, three-blade variable-pitch propellers, such as the de Havilland and Rotol designs. And minor equipment updates, including an additional access panel on the starboard side of the fuselage. Okay. Power came from Rolls-Royce Merlin II, which produced between 1,000 and 1,300 horsepower. Not bad. And gave the Hurricane a top speed of 310 miles per hour. The aircraft was simpler and cheaper to build and maintain than the Spitfire, which allowed the RAF to field large numbers quickly, which gave a decisive advantage during the Battle of Britain in 1940. With the Spitfire taking on the German fighters, the Hurricane was then left to destroy the majority of the Luftwaffe bombers, forming the backbone of Britain's air defence. It did most of the work. After the Battle of Britain, the Hurricane was gradually replaced by the improved Mark II version, with the more powerful Merlin XX engine, a longer fuselage and heavier armament. You had 4 Hispano cannons, didn't it? Earlier Mark I aircraft were reassigned to naval aviation and training duties. Despite being overshadowed by newer designs, though, the Hurricane Mark I remains an enduring symbol of the RAF's resilience, struggle and effectiveness during one of the most critical periods of the war. This kit depicts 3 late production Mark I Hurricanes with metal wings and a Rotol propeller, actually manufactured by Gloucester Aircraft between May and October in 1940. Wow. Okay, very, very good indeed. I like that. Just the right amount of info. So let's have a look. Now I do like the Arma instructions. Always seem very clear to me. They're a bit like Edwards, but I always think Edwards are printed too finely, and they makes them hard to see, and they're also a bit subtle, too subtle in places. Whereas the Arma ones here, they seem to be very, very super clear. a bit like Airfix sort of style, not in terms of colouring and things, but yeah, a straightforward, simple, not overcrowded frames, you know. So you're starting off and you're building it. It's basically your the gear bay and where all the wheel wells are basically. Then you're going to go on to move on to your seats. Got some colour creeping in. Why is that in green? Okay, let me just tell you the colour. It's not a brass. Brass? No, brass is the colour. Okay. Yes, it's not the clearest in terms of the language that's used. They've got it in English, but it's not always. There could be a bit more info. Gun camera. That's interesting. We've got a gun camera option. You can either have a light. It looks like it's a light or a gun camera. Is that right? Interesting. Okay. Then you've got the sort of floor area, typical Hurricane, with this very old-fashioned, like a Hawker Hart style, you know. Building up this tubular framework that is the basis of the cockpit, really. Then you've got your stick control, complete with the gun button. Bringing in your seat that we've already just had a quick look at there. Some good detail, it looks like. Great detail in here. All the detail coming in here of the side panels of the things like the throttles and trim controls. You've got your instruments. You've got the front of your engine here where the actual prop shaft is for the propeller itself. It's got the oil ring, which is famous on the Hurricane. It has a slightly strange lip, doesn't it? It's actually an oil ring to prevent oil splattering, back splashing and getting into the airflow from the engine and then splashing on your windscreen. Bringing in your remove the fragment of. Yes, do you find instructions are very visually good, but they're not always written in the most clear way. Option to remove vents. Okay. Close canopy. Remove rails marked with red. That's clear enough. Okay. Some's clearer than others. Then you've got your radiator coming in here, and you've got your bottom, your sort of ventral section at the back, underneath the fuselage, horizontal stabilisers with the elevators at the back. It does look quite nice, doesn't it? You've got the vertical tail and the rudder, and then we've got the tail wheel and your main wheels coming together here. We've got the main undercarriage legs here, very beefy, quite a sensible undercarriage on the Hurricane, more so than the Spitfire because it's splayed wider, isn't it? It's out. The legs are pivot outboard instead of pivoting inboard, which makes it just a wider track, giving it far better stability on grass. You've got a gun sight going in there, you've got your lights going in, your little pop down stirrup for climbing up, and then we have got radio aerial here. Got our gun, beg your pardon, the exhaust, I mean. And you got the frontage of the actual spinner back plate, propeller itself, paint the back plate of the spinner in silver, and then you've got two options, different, either open or closed versions of the main canopy. Very nice, very nice. Stanford Tuck's aircraft is here. So this would be, it says 1940, it would obviously be the latter part of the Battle of Britain, September, October time. And then we've got the 303, the Polish squadron here. Yeah, there was a couple of films about them, wasn't there? What was one called? Bloody Foreigners or something. Bloody Foreigners. I'm quite grateful for these foreigners, yeah. And 303 Squadron was the other movie, of course, the more recent movie. And then we've got this one that's at Yeovilton, and quite worn looking, one of these training aircraft that's gone off to the Navy, Royal Naval Air Service. Shows it heavily weathered, which gives you lots of opportunities to make that so. And then we've got DTA again. I've done it twice. What's it showing here? Cutouts for... Oh, I see. There's a later paint job for DTA. So, maybe I was kind of wrong. This is more like September, October. And that earlier one is obviously the start of the Battle of Britain, which I should have spotted. Dead giveaway, because it's half black and half sky underneath. So that's the early part of the Battle of Britain, and this is the later part. So there you go. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I think some of the written elements could have a bit more detail, a bit more clarity. But the illustrations are good. They make it seem fairly clear, actually. You're almost tempted to partly ignore what's written because it doesn't seem to help much. But we shall see. So, that can go back in its nice tray. Let's have a look at the plastic, see what we've got. This is my last review of 2025, amazingly. I do need a holiday though, to be honest. That's great. I think I earned it. Let's see what Arma can produce now. I've got no idea, I haven't seen any online pictures of this or anything like that. This is completely new to me. I think we'll start with the clear parts then. Now, we all know what people like ICM can produce, so what's it like? What's it like? Well, actually, of the two, one seems a lot better than the other does. In terms of clarity, one's got quite a lot of distortion here, and the other one seems to have much less of it. It might be hard to show you it, but you'll have to take my word for it. So as you look at them, these two, I think one's for open, one's for closed. But as you look at them, the lower one is a lot clearer and less distorted than this one is. This one looks quite distorted in places. Not sure if I can actually show it to you. I'll put something behind it. Maybe it'll become clearer. See what I mean? It's not the best. For clarity, I'm talking. With it, you see it there. There's quite a big distortion, and here, yeah, there's some, but it's not quite as extreme. So I don't think it's quite up to ICM standards of clear parts. I'm going to put my other glasses on because I know that will give me maybe a little bit of an advantage in seeing that, like you are. Make sure I'm still fit. Yeah, I'm feeling the same. I still feel the same. Yeah, this top one is much more. There's a lot of distortion with this one, and a lot less on this lower one. Anyway, there we've got the windscreen, which actually looks lovely. Not much wrong with the windscreen part of it. A few bits of flash. Just a little bit of hairy flash, you know. But yeah, it's acceptable. I mean, it's not terrible. Yeah, based on this kit, I wouldn't use this one personally. I think that's got quite a few flaws in it. But the one near the thumb here, that looks fine. Looks fine. So not quite ICM standards, I think, on the clarity of those parts. But you've got your little light covers and things there. I know we had a similar discussion about this with Mini Art, where I didn't feel that they were quite up to the current standards either on clear parts. I mean, every other respect they were absolutely great. I'm just trying to get my light to work. Right. Anyway, let's have a look at the wings. The wings. Now, I was quite worried about this because I know that they've it's quite noticeable, isn't it? That's not like the ICM riveting when we talked about it. I'll change back. When we talked about it with the Hamden, which was so refined, you know. This looks very good, but they are quite. I wouldn't say they look out of scale, but the problem I've got is, and I mentioned that there was a lovely one in the competition area at Telford. I think it was the 2C, wasn't it? And it had been beautifully made, and the work on it was nice, you know. But when the paint was on it, it almost seemed to. It looked kind of. I could say it looked worse. I am not criticising another modeller's work. The work was beautiful. It's a lovely example of model making, but it's as though the paint built up on these rivets and it made it look a bit out of scale, and it just worries me again. I'm seeing this in the raw plastic, which I've never seen before. Let me zoom you in and you can make your own mind up, but you can hear that they're quite pronounced, these rivets, and it just kind of worries me a little that we're going to maybe have issue when you build it up with a bit more paint. And they're not really catching my eye, but that could just be the fact that they're unpainted plastic. Very noticeable. Incredible. I'm not sure if this is as bad. I don't know, is the simple truth. It's hard to tell because this is unpainted. To my eye, it doesn't look as bad as what I saw at Telford in the finished model. And I say, there was nothing wrong with the modeller. The modeller did a lovely job of this Hurricane. It was beautiful. But it just worries me that they've maybe overdone it with the design on the actual moulding of the rivets, and therefore, once you have made it up, you've got all your layers of paint on, it kind of builds up even more and makes it look a little out of scale. I think it lacks the ultimate sophistication of something like the Hamden from ICM, and some of the detail we saw on that incredible Tomcat from Tamiya. But it is beautiful, isn't it? It doesn't look wrong. It kind of feels wrong. I think that's my big fear. And I'm worried that if you get it at an angle, I think it becomes, I don't know, it's quite hard to, I think maybe because of the colour of the plastic, it's actually quite hard to see it. You're probably seeing it better on the camera than I am in some respects. Just try the other glasses again. They're very pronounced. They're very pronounced. I'm not saying they're out of scale. I don't think it's the size. I think it's more the depth. Or the height of them, if you know what I mean. You can hear them. Yeah. And when I did that on the ICM kit, you might remember the Hamden I couldn't feel it. But your eye could see them. It was almost like a trick on the eyes. This is kind of the other way around. This is actually, they're less visible, but they're much, much more present. So I don't know, but I mean the moulding is beautiful. I'm not criticising the way that they've created the detail. Gorgeous, really. A bit disappointed they couldn't have had a moving aileron. That would have been nice, or some flaps. Yeah, it's just all fixed, isn't it? But I don't know. I can't quite make my mind up. I can't make my mind up whether it's not a problem or it is actually a problem. I've got to say that I'm not. My gut feel is that it's probably the same as whoever the gentleman was that made the kit, or lady, whoever it was that made that lovely kit at Telford. It was superb. There's nothing wrong with the modelling at all. But I've just got this feeling that when you actually put the paint on, it kind of makes the problem become more apparent. And maybe the answer is to give it a little bit of a rub with a sanding stick, very gently. Don't leave it crazy. Maybe just give it a gentle sanding and then it'll go away. But it's very nice to the vision. Visually, it looks absolutely cracking. It's just that that's unpainted, and I'm worried about what happens when you put paint on. Now, I've got to say the quality, the look of the quality is very high, and that was not always the case. Was it the P39, the Aero Cobra, was it? From Arma last year, and it didn't. That was not so cool. There are some quality issues, but this does not seem to suffer from any of that. It looks very, very crisp. It's quite a busy sprue, this. Have a look at this. I've got to be honest, I think this is gorgeous, this sprue. Have a look. Look at that. Again, it's very tactile, perhaps a bit too tactile. This is my worry. But the detail and the sharpness of the image and the moulding is brilliant. Look at that. I bet this will build into a lovely Hurricane. Got a nice detailed seat. We haven't got any slide moulding. I know that previously on the kits they've had some of the issues have had these 3D printed exhausts, which I think might be the way to go. They're not actually, they're not hollow. I don't know if you can see that. They're not hollowed out at all. They're not slide moulded like that. which is a bit of a shame. But I think they've got weight on wheels on the tyres, which is nice, and they've got bulging tyres. That's good. And some of the detail here is absolutely stonking, you know. Look at here, that's the lights on the wing, where the lights go. Your cockpit framework that builds up the cockpit surround here. Then over here we've got the instruments and the back of the seat, the armour plating. And I mean, it's so crisp, isn't it? It's beautifully crisp. And as I said, that Aerocobra, that was a bit of a, yeah, that wasn't very crisp, and it had some flash and some nastiness had crept in. But this seems to be a return to form for them. I don't see any problems at all like that. It looks beautiful. The detail parts here, like the seat. Very nice, isn't it? Yes. It's a nice looking Hurricane. I tell you what, it looks a lot nicer than that Italeri one that I built. I would swap this for that in a heartbeat, no question. And then we've got our. You see, there's no problem here. No issue here with the detailing. It doesn't feel overdone. It feels about right to me. It's those wings, they've gone a bit crazy with the riveter and the mould. This looks nice. This is probably the best sprue. And they've done that two types. I think this one's a de Havilland and one's a Rotol. Maybe wrong, but I think that's the Rotol. I think that's the de Havilland prop. And then you've got your various types of different spinner. And I think the Rotol on these two end ones, I think that's de Havilland in the middle. But there's nothing wrong with this, the moulding here. This is absolutely fine. Perfect. Absolutely spot on. Let's just spin it around on the side. Nothing wrong here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Crisp as you like. No sink marks, no flash. No warpage. All beautiful. That's really nice. Yeah, fantastic. That's beautiful. Really is nice, actually. That's a lovely Hurricane. That would make a much nicer one than the one I've got. I mean, frankly, this just kills that Italeri one dead in the water as far as I could see. I mean, it really does, because it wasn't a good kit. That stupid thing with the gun. I didn't point this out. Let me just go back to this. On the Italeri one, they had these silly separate gun, like a pod of guns, which wasn't particularly realistic. And it was a terrible fit. None of it matched up or mated up. But here, it's much more subtly done. Just beyond where the sprue contact point is here. Oops. See that? It's a much more subtle interpretation. Maybe too subtle. I mean, maybe want to drill that out, actually. Yeah. I would be tempted to drill that out. I mean, what they've done is they've moulded it in a way, in fairness, quite cleverly. They've actually moulded that in a way that represents it when it's got the shrunken canvas over it as it takes off, when it's ready for battle, rather than during or after battle, when the bullets obviously pierce the canvas and they dope over some more later on when it gets rearmed. So the aerodynamic dope coverings, the canvas and dope, it's kind of it's very well done, actually. Whereas on the Italeri one, it was clunky and it was horrible. They had this separate section. They had to drop it. Oh, it was horrible, terrible fit, and it was just nasty. And I lost patience with it very quickly. And then we had that issue with the windscreen, which didn't fit even remotely the shape of the fuselage. Terrible kit. Excuse me. So I think that is a very, very beautiful Hurricane. My only reservation at all, they've got this thing as well, haven't they, where it's quite clever actually, where they've got they've designed it so that they can interlock. Quite clever. But my only reservation at all is just on these wings. I just feel that riveting is a bit heavy. And I think that's what I saw from the gentleman. I say I'm not. I thought it was beautiful. It was only when I got really close and I thought, ooh. I was with Jason from Model Kit stuff, and he sort of looked at me and we were like, I think we were having the same thought. And it wasn't the modeller's fault really, and I think it only became apparent when you kind of got toward the end of the build and realised that these rivets are a bit chunky. And if I wasn't running my thumb and my hands over it, if I was just doing that, it looks absolutely fine. And so I think the problem gathers as you build it. I think it becomes an issue later. So as I say, don't let that put you off the kit. Just a gentle bit of rubbing with the sanding stick, just to take those down. I think don't go mad because you're ruining. Just a little, just wants them taking down ever so slightly. And it's not quite as bad underneath. In fairness, it's the top where it is really apparent. So a little bit of work on that, and you'll be fine. So there we have it. I've got to say that I was a bit worried because I'd seen this error cobbler thing last year, which the quality was quite poor. That is not like that. That is beautiful. That is what we would hope it to be perfectly honest. A really nice Battle of Britain Mk.1 Hurricane. That clear part in there. Yeah, that is really, really nice. It's a nice kit. It's a really nice kit. So I'm just a bit wary because I saw this one at Telford and I thought, ooh. And it made you realise, I mean, it's one of those things, forewarned is forearmed, isn't it? If you knew about it and you know how to correct it, it's really not going to be much of a problem at all. Yeah, it's a great package. So what was this retailing for? It's about £34, £35, something like that. It's got to be the nicest Hurricane that I've seen at 48 scale. I think it's a little bit better than the Airfix ones, even though they are quite good actually, in fairness. It's got a little bit of finesse, hasn't it, this one? It's just whether it's got too much finesse, that's the problem. I've got to say it was worth waiting for though. It was worth waiting for. Is that coming in? Yes, it has. It actually works quite well, this package. It's just the outer box I'm not too sure about. What a nice Hurricane though. Nice Hurricane. So don't let me put you off it. I think literally you could get rid of that problem as long as you know that. Before you start primary, just rub it ever so slightly. Just take them down a little bit. It's a job that anybody could do. It doesn't require any great skill, just to give it a bit of a rub down gently. And I think the problem just, the only other thing was that clear part. One was good and one wasn't so good. So I think marks out of 10. I think I'm not going to get too hung up about the rivets. I'm going to give it, because it's such high quality, nice decals are nice. I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10, which I think that's fair, because the only real hitch it's got is solved in about 3 minutes without any great skill. Anybody can do that. Even a less skilled modeller could take care of that, I think, quite easily. What a nice model! What a nice thing from Arma. Well done, Arma Hobbies. Then we've got a mass set as well in there, so you've got everything you really need to do the kit. 9.5 out of 10. I think that's fair. I hope you thought that was interesting. Makes you wonder what else they're going to come up with next, but it's nice to finally have a Battle of Britain Hurricane. And of course, on the subject of Hurricanes, we've got Qatari coming very soon, in the summer of next year, 26, I think. Well, by the summer, I think we'll have already probably seen the new Hurricane is coming in 32nd scale. That's going to be something worth waiting for. So we've seemed to be waiting for Hurricanes, and now we've got some really nice ones finally arriving. So hats off to you guys. Hats off to Arma and Qatari as well. I hope you enjoyed that. Thought it was interesting. That's going to go into kits of the year, because I think that's got it's got quite a lot of merit there. I think there's I say the only issue is taken care of in the blink of an eye, really. And it's when you've got issues like that, that's easily solved. It's when you've got parts that are warped or sink marks and things that are really not easy to fix. That's a different kettle of fish. But that is just perhaps somebody just got a bit too enthusiastic with the tooling and the riveting in the tooling. But it looks good and it's accurate looking. Nice Hurricane. Nice Hurricane. Go buy that one. Go buy that one. Anyway, maybe that'll be in kits of the year. I think it probably will. Because it's certainly something that I've been waiting for, and it's just the right genre to come out just at the right time, really. Anyway, I hope you thought that was interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Give me 10 out of 10. Give us a like. And the next show we'll be having is probably going to be the live show with Jason on Christmas Saturday 27th, followed by Kits of the Year on Monday the 29th. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. And we will see you then. And in the meantime, have a wonderful Christmas. Stay well, stay safe. Don't eat too much, don't drink too much. Have a nice, peaceful, enjoyable Christmas. Hopefully with a few nice models. And I'll see you again very, very soon. In the meantime, thanks a lot. Take care of yourselves. And bye for now.